I've been building my own kingdom for everyone to see. It exists to keep me safe from harm, and it's intact to glorify me. Nobody helped me build this up. It was me and me alone. I've appointed myself as the king, and I've given myself the throne. But it turns out I'm no ruler, and I have no control. So I have decided to destroy it all. I'm tearing down the walls, kicking down the doors. Everything inside this kingdom is yours. 'Cause what I've made is worthless, and it cannot stand. Come and breathe some life into my empty, cold, dead hands. Down with the fickle king, away with this fantasy. You are the one I need. Death to the kingdom of me. Death to the kingdom of me. I should probably be frightened. This empire's all I know, but it always does more damage than good. I'm afraid it's gotta go. I know that I can't be trusted, 'cause I'm just a man. And if you hadn't given your life for me, a loser would be all that I am. You know they say just follow your heart. I'm afraid that's a load of trash. Your heart will take you down to deep, dark places where you feel like you'll never come back. So I'm coming out of the dark. This facade is I woke up feeling like it was time to tighten up. Yeah, I woke up feeling like it might be a good day to get it done. That's right. Oh, the stadium is just like my second house. Now I'm two-tone talking, they can't shut my mouth. I woke up feeling like it was time to tighten up. Yeah, 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 yeah. I woke up feeling like it was time to tighten up.
Well, it's the last day of March, everybody. Welcome to the Two-Tone Talk by God Pod, episode 157. We are here live today, March 31st, 2025. Tomorrow, the calendar will change over to April, which means the calendar will change over to draft month. April 24th, 2025 is a-coming. Just a few weeks away, and I think a new era for the Tennessee Titans will be ushered in at the hands of who? Well, let's talk about it. Today, Brian Callahan, head coach of the Tennessee Titans, and Mike Borgonzi, new GM of the Tennessee Titans, they had some things to say. Let me get a swig of this water. They had a few things to say. Brian Callahan especially. He and Borgonzi both talk a lot about the process. The process The process. We're going through the process. We want to see this thing through. We want to complete the process. They have said it a million times. And to some degree, I do believe them. I do believe they want to complete the process. But there's a couple of things about it. Number one, I don't think they want to close the door on the possibility of somebody offering them the world in a trade. I don't think they want to totally shut the door, because what if you leave the door open, as Bruno Mars once said, and then the Browns call and they want to give you 3 years of first rounders? I don't think that's going to happen. I'm sure the Titans don't think that was going to happen. In fact, the Browns GM just today, actually yesterday, the Cleveland Browns GM pretty much said, literally, you can go look up the quote, "I don't think a trade up to 1 is very likely." That's what the Cleveland Browns GM said yesterday. I don't see us trading up to number 1. Which means I don't think that the Browns aren't interested. I'm sure they're interested, but I'm sure when the Titans told them what they would want in a trade, the Browns said, okay, we'll stay at 2. Same with the Giants. The Giants GM just this morning, you know what he said? If I was a Giants fan, I'd be furious about this. He said, listen, we got Russell Wilson, we got Jameis Winston, we're good. That's pretty much what the Giants GM said this morning. He said, listen, if we don't draft a quarterback here in this draft, we're fine. We got Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. So that told me what I already suspected last week, and that is that the Giants are not going to be trading up to 1. Not because they're not interested, but because what the Titans are asking for is just too much, and the Giants nor the Browns are willing to pay it. That's pretty much what their GMs just told you. Now, if I really believed that the Titans really weren't that high on Cam Ward, like they really didn't want him, they're just pretending, first of all, that would be ridiculous. Second of all, I would be of the belief that maybe the closer we get to the draft, maybe the Titans cave and they take less in a trade than what they initially wanted. But because I believe the Titans are legitimately 100% interested in Cam Ward, I think the reason they're asking for so much is because they're saying, listen, if we're going to give up Cam Ward, you better give us an unbelievable offer for a trade. Now, we haven't heard anything from the Saints. The Saints have been thrown out there as an option. I just think that is such a pipe dream. I think for the Saints to give up, the Saints are just not in a position to give up 3 years worth of first rounders to get Cam Ward. It's just not something that is feasible for them. I think, yeah, you would get Cam Ward, but what else would you get? You would be sitting out of the first round for 2 more years. I just think that would be reckless for the Saints. To get rid of a guy like Chris Olave, for example, to bring in Cam Ward and multiple first rounders and midday picks, I think that would be reckless for the Saints to do. So I just see no path to a trade back for the Titans. But I do believe, as Bruno Mars once said, I do believe the Titans want to at least leave the door open for now. Because why not? Hey, let's leave the door open, and who knows? Maybe the closer we get to the draft, somebody just freaks out, gets desperate, and offers us the world. I don't think it's going to happen, but maybe. Why close the door at this point? There have been a lot of rumors because Mike Borgonzi, regarding Will Levis, said, I expect Will Levis to be back on this team competing for a job. And a lot of people said, are you joking? I saw Titans fans yesterday who were irate at the very idea that Mike Borgonzi would say that Will Levis is going to be on this team competing for a starting job. Listen, guys, you get to a certain point where you have to chalk some of this up to it's just a GM being a GM. It's just a head coach being a head coach. If Mike Borgonzi came out and said, hey, guys, Will Levis is probably not going to be on this team by the time we get to the preseason. Okay, if Mike Borgonzi were to say, well, Levis, we're probably going to trade him. I mean, that first of all completely gives away that they're going to draft Cam Ward, and it closes the door on a potential trade. Because if you say Will Levis isn't going to be on this team, then if you're the Browns, you're the Giants, you're the Saints, you're the Jets, you're whoever, then you say, okay, they're 100% drafting Ward. No point in even calling him with a trade offer. The Titans just don't want to close that door. Remember, Mike Borgonzi, what does he keep talking about? He keeps talking about the process. He keeps talking about we gotta go meet with Shador. We gotta go meet with Travis Hunter. We gotta go to their pro day. We gotta have our private workouts with them. And you may say, why? Why are you doing that when you probably know you're going to draft Cam Ward? Because this is just how it goes, guys. This is just how it goes. There are many reasons why the Titans would attend these things, even if they know they're probably not going to draft those guys. There are many reasons. One in particular, because if at least you want to keep the idea that someone's going to offer you the world in a trade and you're going to be getting someone else, you at least want to know about Shador. You at least want to know about Travis Hunter. Evan has a very good point in the chat, as he said, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but Brinker historically likes carrying 4 quarterbacks into training camp. Very good point. And here's why this is a good point. Maybe the Titans do keep Will Levis around for training camp. Maybe the Titans do keep Will Levis around for the preseason, let Will Levis get some reps, because look what happened with Malik Willis last year. Malik Willis looked good enough in the preseason that the Green Bay Packers called and offered us a draft pick for him. So if Will Levis can come out in the preseason for the Titans and play well, who knows? Maybe a team like the Rams, who are starting to kind of try to figure out their post-Stafford plans in a couple of years, maybe the Rams call and they offer you a pretty good draft pick for Will Levis. I could see that scenario where the Titans keep Will Levis around for a little while to let him maybe play well in the preseason. Maybe he will play well in the preseason, and somebody will give you a 4th rounder or a 3rd rounder for Will Levis. Stranger things have happened, folks. So, and I also want to say this because Anthony just said this in the chat, Anthony Barton, and I agree. There is a certain degree of this that you have to remember. The NFL Draft 2025, it is a television show. It is entertainment. And Roger Goodell and the higher-ups of the NFL, I am of the belief they don't want to just give away the beginning of their show. Last year we knew the Bears were going to take Caleb. I think last year we really knew the first 4 picks. We knew the Bears were going to take Caleb. We knew the Commanders were going to take Jaden. We knew the Patriots were going to take Drake May. And we knew the Cardinals were going to take Marvin Harrison. And so there was not a lot of excitement or intrigue regarding those first 4 picks. I think with this draft, because the teams at the top are so needy, I think the NFL wants to go into April 24th with this entire thing as a mystery. Let's not be sure totally what the teams are going to do. I think there's a part of that too. And so I think the Titans are that might be a reason why the Titans are keeping their cards pretty close to the vest. Just to say, hey, let's keep the intrigue. Let's keep the mystery. But I do think they at least want to leave the door open for a historic trade if a team wants to bite on it. But I don't think they will. There are a lot of Titans fans who were concerned because Brian Callahan said he feels like they are 2 weeks away from knowing what they want to do in the draft. He said, give us 2 more weeks and we'll probably be... Who is Geronimo X? Geronimo X, first of all, I'm not in my bedroom. I am in my office, in my nice home, and I am waiting on my smoking hot wife to get home from work so that I can give her a big old kiss on the mouth. So, I don't know what you're doing, Geronimo X, but I'm doing the video, I'm doing the podcast, and you are watching it and commenting on it. So, I don't know, dude. You tell me. Thanks for the view. Thanks for the comment. Thanks for the engagement. Thanks for putting me in the algorithm. Okay. But Brian Callahan said we're 2 weeks away from knowing what we want to do. Mike Borgonzi also said we got to complete the process. How many times have you heard the word process? And a lot of people in Titans fandom, because let's be honest, a lot of us have convinced ourselves it's going to be Cam Ward. I'm about 90% sure it's going to be Cam Ward. But a lot of Titans fans started to panic. You could see the panic starting on X. It was like, oh my gosh, they still don't even know what they're doing. Oh my Lord, what are we going to do? Richie, I ain't talking about you. I'm just talking about Geronimo X. Richie, that whole tangent didn't apply to anyone except for Geronimo X. Geronimo X trying to talk bad about my podcast when he's watching it. How you going to talk bad about something that you're taking time out of your day to watch and listen to? That was only meant for Geronimo. I want to say, while I'm thinking about it, I do appreciate everybody that had kind words about my interview with Buck Rising this past week. Enjoyed having Buck on, and Buck did not mince words, by the way. He just flat out tell you what he thinks about some of the people involved with Titans. Appreciated that, and I appreciate everybody. Off season can be a little weird as we all try to get through the off season, but you guys are great. My comments were only directed at Geronimo. Say Geronimo. Okay, back to the panic. Everybody panicking about Cam Ward and what if, because we haven't made up our minds, because Callahan saying we still got 2 weeks, does that mean that, does that mean that we haven't decided on Cam Ward? I mentioned my wife a second ago, but I will just say this. Just because you are devoting yourself to completing the process that you started, that doesn't mean that you don't kind of already know where you're headed. The best example I can think of, I knew within a few weeks that I was going to marry my wife when we started dating. I knew that early on, but we still dated for over a year. I knew I was going to marry her, but we still completed the process. We still dated for a year. Okay. Then we got engaged because we knew we were going to get married. That's a done deal. We got this in the bag, but we were still engaged for a year. Because even when you know where it's heading, you still cover every base. You still cover every avenue that you can to get ready. Do I think that just because the Titans are going to attend Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter's pro day and they're going to have their interviews and their private workouts with them, do I think that that means that they are not convinced on Cam Ward? No, I think they actually are. Brian Callahan said today that a franchise quarterback is priceless. That's what Brian Callahan said today. He said if you have a guy in the draft that you feel like is your franchise quarterback, that's priceless. I think the Titans have seen every single thing they need to see from Cam Ward, and we'll probably see a little more over these next few weeks. Just because Mike Borgonzi in his early time with the Titans, I know he hadn't been around very long, but he's all business. I mean, Buck Rising said this on Wednesday when he was on. Mike Borgonzi, he's business. I mean, he comes in, he's got the suit and tie, he's looking all muscular. He comes in, and he's ready to go. He's a guy that's devoted to the process. He is professional. He is going to see this thing through to the end. Everything that he set out to do in the beginning, he's going to do. Even if he knows up here where it's likely headed, even if everybody in the room, Brinker and Callahan and everybody knows where it's likely headed, he's the type of guy who is going to see it through to the end. He's going to complete the process. I go back to I knew I was going to marry my wife within weeks, but we still dated for over a year as boyfriend and girlfriend. I knew where it was heading, but we set out to have a process. We're going to spend this time to get to know each other. We're going to spend this time, and we said that's what we're going to do, and that's what we're going to do. Even though we know where it's headed, We have a process and we're going to do it. That is what I take this as. They had a process that they want to explore every avenue. Why not? I mean, I would almost call it a little wacky to make up your mind what you're going to do on March 31st and then just not even entertain any other ideas, because you don't know what could happen between now and then. Who was the Ole Miss guy on draft night who had the video surface of him with the bong or whatever it was? You don't know what could happen. What if Cam Ward, I mean, I think he's a great guy. I don't think this would ever happen, but what if Cam Ward gets arrested over the next 3 weeks? What if Cam Ward is doing a workout and tears his quad? What if Cam Ward gets, dare I say, and this is a terrible thing to say, I don't think this would actually happen, but it's just because of the nature in which things have happened with the Justin Tuckers of the world and the Deshaun Watsons. What if Cam Ward got accused of something crazy? I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it would happen. I think he's a great kid. But all of that to say, you just never know. That's why you go through the process of doing all of this, because, like I said, what if Cam Ward gets hurt? What if Cam Ward gets caught up in some kind of scandal? What if Cam Ward... You need to have other plans. Whether all that stuff is far-fetched or not, and I know it is, because, again, Cam Ward's a good kid, and I don't think any of that would ever happen, but injuries happen. Setbacks happen. Look at Abdul Carter. I mean, there's some skepticism about Abdul Carter right now because he has some injury, and there's people wondering if he's going to have surgery or not. Speaking of Abdul Carter, when's the last time anybody heard Abdul Carter's name attached to the Tennessee Titans? I feel like it's been like a month. At least 3 weeks. There was a period of time where it was like, oh, the Titans are going to take Abdul Carter. They're going to take him. I haven't heard Abdul Carter's name attached to the Titans in weeks. So, as I've said, sometimes you just got to do the math. The moves the Titans have made, and they're not going to just show all their cards in these interviews. Brian Callahan, Mike Borgonzi, who's super professional, they're not just going to sit there and say, hey, guys, we're taking Cam Ward first overall. That's what we're going to do. No, that's not how any of this works. That's not how any of this works. We still got 3 weeks to go. Light says, are the Titans going to do anything else in free agency, or are they done? They're going to have to do more. I don't know if they're going to do anything urgently. I think that, you got this summer they can make moves. Still need a wide receiver, as you said. Some defensive pieces. I think they could use another linebacker. But, yeah, Titans are going to have to get some more depth pieces in free agency for sure at some point this offseason. Some other highlights. I'm just on X scrolling, looking at what was said about Brian Callahan today. They asked him about Malik Willis. That's kind of an awkward question. I know Mike Borgonzi was asked about Tyreek Hill. On NFL Network, they asked him if he had been in touch with Tyreek Hill since he helped bring Tyreek to Kansas City, and Tyreek Hill wants out of Miami, and pretty much he shot that down pretty quickly. He shot that down, actually. I don't think the Titans will be targeting Tyreek Hill since the Dolphins paid him like $800 billion to be there. Titans head coach Brian Callahan said, we are open to everything with the Titans' number 1 overall pick. Well, I'm sure they are. If you want to offer us the world, we would be open to that. Brian Callahan, this is from Teron Davenport. Brian Callahan said not outright, but Cam Ward is their guy. Hold on. I think Teron has a typo here. Brian Callahan said not outright saying Cam Ward is their guy is no indicator. Okay, it's my fault. I read it wrong. Brian Callahan said not outright saying Cam Ward is their guy is no indication of where they are with him. Callahan added that GM Mike Borgonzi has preached that it is important to go through the whole process. That's a telling quote from Brian Callahan. Just because we're not committing openly to Cam Ward right now, that is not an indication of how much we think of him and how good we think he is. Pretty much our GM is very professional and wants to go through the whole process, and that's why we're not just committing to anybody. Fair enough. Brian Callahan said that Bryce Oliver's from Paul Kaharski. Bryce Oliver is capable of taking the NWI role. A lot of people intrigued and excited about Bryce Oliver. Let me know in the chat what you guys think about Bryce Oliver. Do you guys think Bryce Oliver is kind of an actual option to make an impact for the Titans at wide receiver, or do you think that's just another pipe dream? Nathan Manning said, if you draft quarterback, why not get Shedeur Sanders? He's a way bigger draw and has way more potential. I don't agree that he has way more potential. I think Cam Ward I see more potential with Cam, but he is, I do think if the Browns were to call and offer a lot in a trade, the Titans could trade back to 2 and get Shedeur if they wanted. I don't think that's likely. Time will tell for Bryce, Light says. Titan South says Oliver looked pretty solid. He might be a sleeper. Anthony Cook said he shows promise. That would be good if he could step up. They also said that Traylon Burks is not going to be ready for camp. Is anyone surprised? Traylon Burks is not going to be ready for camp. Because that was a terrible pick and we shouldn't have traded A.J. Brown. That's a little jingle that I sing every day. Brian Callahan talking about Shedeur Sanders and Deion Sanders. It's not a bad thing that his dad, this is Teron Davenport posted this. It's not a bad thing that his dad has been able to be around. I think he's pretty good at what he does. It'll be an adjustment for him to enter the NFL, and not being with his dad will be something he has to work through. Good point. Brian Callahan said the Titans are in fact open for business. The main task at hand is weighing the prospects at the top pick versus the trade return. That's pretty much a bunch of saying nothing right there. Brian Callahan said he has talked to J.C. Latham about moving to right tackle and he's ready to roll. What choice does he have? He's in his sophomore season. He's changing from one side of the line to the other. What do you want him to do? Put up a fight? No, I want to stay at left. This is from Kay Adams. Do the Titans know who they're taking at 1 overall? Tennessee Titans GM Mike Borgonzi says not so much. I don't know if that's exact. I watched that clip earlier. He pretty much said we're going to complete our process. Mike Borgonzi talking about Cam Ward. He's pretty much good at everything he does. Talking about Cam Ward. Pretty glowing endorsement. Mike Borgonzi. No, wait, does this not give it away right here? According to Pro Football Talk, Mike Borgonzi was quoted as saying, if you have a chance to draft a franchise quarterback, you don't pass on him. Does that not tell you everything you need to know right there? If you have a chance to draft a franchise quarterback, you don't pass on him. Well, they have the chance to do it. What else do you need to hear? My goodness. President of Football Operations Chad Brinker and Coach Brian Callahan won't be present at Colorado's Pro Day, having seen Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter multiple times already. Sometimes you got to do the math, folks. Chad Brinker and Brian Callahan are not even attending Colorado's Pro Day. They'll be part of a large Tennessee contingent at an April 9th private workout for both players. They didn't miss Cam Ward's Pro Day, I guarantee you that. They were all there for that one. So as it stands right now, I have not changed my opinion. Nothing that I have heard from Brian Callahan or Mike Borgonzi or Chad Brinker has told me anything that I didn't already believe, which was the Titans are going to draft Cam Ward. Unless they get a trade offer that is historic, I don't think the Titans are drafting anybody in that first round other than Cam Ward. I think it is all but official. They're going to do their process. They're going to talk to Shedeur. They're going to talk to Travis Hunter. They're going to do their thing. They're going to keep the door open for a historic trade, but that's just because you know where you're headed, you still do the process, you still go through the motions, but you know where it's headed. Unless something drastic happens, it's Cam Ward. April 24th, Cam Ward. I started this episode by saying someone is going to usher in a new era for the Titans on April 24th. And I'm ending this episode with answering my own question. It will be Cam Ward. I believe it in my heart of hearts. What say you? This is the Two Tone Talk by God Pod. Everybody have a good week. Be checking out Two Tone Talk YouTube channel. More content coming your way. I appreciate everybody's support. You guys are the best. Love the Two Tone Talk Nation. This is a Two Tone Talk by God Pod. Staying way too high on the wins, way too low on the losses. Tighten up, everybody. Bye-bye.